Okay, welcome back everybody, right? Is everybody back from the tea break itself, right? Okay, right, now we are going to move into a new unit altogether, right? And this unit will be based on what we call as Unit 3, which is actually how do you build trust to reduce work-based conflict. Now, whenever you have a conflicting situations, this is where it can be as minor as different of opinion, as major as fighting. Would you agree with that? Okay, so when you are able to build trust, that is where you will minimize the conflicting situations. Our role as a leader is to be able to manage the conflict in a manageable way. Now, can we avoid conflicting situations altogether? It's not possible. When you have two or more people working together, you tend to have a conflicting situation. So our role as a leader is to minimize it, to make it into a manageable situation. Alright? And of course, our objective is also to get people to resolve the conflict in a win-win-win. 3-win scenario. What is the 3-win? Win for the employee, win for the managers, and also win for the company. Right? So instead of a win-win situations, we want to achieve a win-win-win situations. Means that the employee, your staff, must feel that the person is winning. You yourself, as a leader, you must feel that you are also winning. And the company must also feel that they are winning. True? Right? So we need a 3-win rather than just a 2-win. Right? Now, let's move on. Over here, we would like to share with you what we call as, this is a quadrant, right? What we call as, if you look at this axis, this is knowledge and skill. Remember we talked to you about the KSA, your knowledge, skills, and attitude, right? So in terms of knowledge and skill, this is the axis of knowledge and skill. This is the axis of employee engagement. Now, when your knowledge as a leader is low and your connections with the employee is also low, this is what we call as the absentee leader. Now, what is called absentee leader and why is it called absentee leader? You are a leader by title, but you are not a leader by practice. Let me repeat. You are a leader by title. In terms of title, yes, you are so-called so and so manager. But in terms of practice, you are not there. Make sense? So we call it as absentee leader, which means that your knowledge is low, your skill is low. When your staff asks you something, I don't know. When your staff asks you something, how to do it? Still learning more. Right? And you don't even know how your staff feel. You don't even know. Now I ask you a simple question. Do you know your staff favorite color? Favorite food? Where do they stay? What do they like? What is their hobby? Don't even know them. True? Right? Now, this is called absentee leader. Now the next one, if your knowledge is low but your engagement is very high, this is called manipulative leader. Means that in a Malay language you say you goreng, right? You just goreng. Make sense? Right? Just goreng, and you are considered you talk a lot but empty. So when you talk a lot empty, after some time people will lose confidence. Make sense? Right? Now, on the opposite of manipulative leader, we have this, what we call as disengaged leader. If your knowledge and skill is very high, but you are not connected to people, you are not a leader, but you are an R&D staff. You are a crazy professor, just like the Spider-Man. Right? That's Spider-Man. Right? Normally you have the scientists who want to research on something. Then normally the movie started by what? Started by somebody want to cancel the grant already, want to close down the lab already, and then on that particular night, the scientists will inject something. And then tomorrow become what? Monster, become Chicha, become whatever it is. Notice that? Right? So there is always the modus operandi of the movie, right? Marvel movie, right? Okay? So this is called Disengaged Leader. Means that your knowledge and skill is very high, but you are not connected to employees. So what we want you to achieve, everyone to achieve, is this. You become a thoughtful leader. Knowledge, skill, with a good attitude, and your connections with the staff is very high. When your connection with staff is very high, it means that the opportunity for you to build the trust level is there. True? Right? Now, if you look into this, we cannot minus out the possibility of people putting up resistance. Am I right? When you ask people to do something, they will actually put up resistance. When they put up resistance, this is what we call as defense mechanism. Now, if you go into this particular URL itself, I do not want to confuse you. Right? If you go into this URL itself, you can see all the explanation, the detailed explanations of these 10 defense mechanisms. Now, if you notice that the one that I highlighted in red, these are the common ones. But if you look into all the 10, it is almost similar. It's just that a very slight difference. Now, let me just explain to you, see whether you can actually catch it. Example, denial. People will just deny. It's an outright denial. Which means what? Right? If you say that a person is doing something wrong, no, not my fault, not my fault. The only difference is that your voice becomes louder. No, I said no! Right? It's part of defense mechanism. Right? Now, another one is this, projections. Projection is always tied up with ego. Some people are very egoistic. Notice that? Right? Some people are very egoistic, so they want to project that they are somewhere. Sometimes when they talk to staff, also they want to project that they are somewhere. So they want to use all those bombastic words. No? The words that you need to carry an Oxford dictionary together with you. No? Right? And that is actually a wrong concept for a leader. Now, the rules of communications for leaders is this. You need to communicate at the other party's level, not at your level. Like, remember yesterday when I shared with Liang, right? Right? Okay, remember when I shared with Liang, Liang actually asked how to become full academicians, and I shared with you all the academic journals in terms of H index. You have no idea what is the H index. True? Right? So from that perspective, most probably I try to impress you. What is that? Right? If let's say a leader do that, then you are not communicating the person. But of course, yesterday I was trying to explain to Liang, right? So from this projections. And of course, rationalization is all, we all know that, right? We all do that, especially for Klang Valley people. I'm not sure about Johor. We do that for our double parking. Yes. Okay, sometimes we double park, then we scold people. Agree? We double park, then we go to ATM machine, right? Then people on, then we come out. Cannot wait. Right? Or worse still is that they try to rationalize. I leave my number in front, ma. You don't know how to call, man. What? What makes you think that everybody has a handphone? Make sense? This is rationalization. Then people say, why don't you park in a proper parking place? It's very far. You ask me to park very far, I better park at home and walk here. True or not? This is rationalizations. Right? Reaction formations. Now, what is reaction formations? Reaction formation is right? Reaction formations is where you react the opposite way. Sometimes reaction formations can also be regarded as when people accuse you of something, you are doing the opposite to prove to people. Now bear in mind, all these 10 are similar, sometimes can be overlapping. Now take for example of Michael Jackson. Know Michael Jackson? When people accuse him of being gay, so what do? How to prove? If people accuse you of being gay, you need to prove by getting married and have kids, Agree? Right? So this is where defense mechanism. These are all defense mechanisms. Now, as a leader, you will definitely encounter this defense mechanism. So what should you do about it? Right? So for detail, you can go into the URL and read it out. Okay? Now, this is the things that we want to share with you next. In order to solve most of your problems, most of your challenges, as a leader, we need to create what we call as a shared vision. I'm sure you know what is your company's vision. Do you know what is your company vision? Yes? This is the time that it tests you. So, what is your company's vision? That's Haley. Haley, what is your company vision? Top 3 SI. Alright, okay. Right? Now, do you know your company's core values? Right? So these are some of the basic informations leaders must have in order to have what we call as a shared vision. Now look at how the shared vision works. Now first and foremost, you need to have openness. This is what we have been talking since yesterday morning until now. Is tied up to authentic leadership, tied up to transparency. You need to be open. When we talk about openness, you need to be truthful. Truthful to yourself, truthful to others. And I mentioned to you that the truth is always hurtful. Make sense? Right? And if you look into the name tag that we provide for you, right? Apart from your name, there's a message for you. So look at the name tag behind, the one that's facing you. What does it say? Bruce, you may want to read it out.
If you feel comfortable, then you are not progressing. Change creates discomfort, and only through discomfort will progress.
Right? If you feel comfortable, then you are not progressing. If you feel comfortable, then you are not progressing. You are in a comfort zone. And change will create discomfort. And only through discomfort, you progress. Make sense? Right? So, the first element in order to create a shared vision is that you must actually have openness. Be very open. Open to your staff, open to your peers, and open to your superior. Now, second element in order for you to create a shared vision is that your accessibility. What does it mean by accessibility? Yes. My door is always open for you. Right? Remember we said this, remember I mentioned to you, right? In all my programs, all my past students, you can access to me for lifetime. Until I die. I die, you can access to me. You can access to me on the 7th month. And the time you access to me, you may not like it. Send me money first, right? Okay, so accessibility. Because when you are giving that accessibility to people, people can come to you. Now, bear in mind, you can give people accessibility, but you may not have availability. People text you, and the worst case scenario is that people text you earlier, then they see blue tick. Then wait. Then they see typing. Then stop. Agree? Right? Then they see typing again. Then stop.
Driving.
Right? So that is why if you are accessible, but are you available? Right? You are accessible, are you available? Now, these three elements will contribute to what? Contribute to what we call as psychological safety. It will contribute to psychological safety. What does it mean over here, psychological safety? Psychological safety means that you are giving a platform that is safe for people to share their grievances. They know the fact that they will not be punished if they share whatever things that deemed as sensitive. So if you have these three things, isn't that these three things that we have been promoting since yesterday until now? Right? And we will move forward. Now, in the afternoon, I will go even deeper into all your issues, and we are going to ask you a very thorough questions based on the process flow itself. Okay, right? Now, all these three things only create psychological safety. When people feel safe, then you can achieve your shared visions. But there are two things expressing. What are the two things expressing? Perceptions. What is perceptions? Perception is exactly what you did in your robbery situations. Remember your robbery situations? Everybody perceives things differently. Yes? Right? What makes you think that the content of the cash register must be cash? Remember that? Right? Perceive differently. Perceptions. Another one is context. Of course, if you ask the boss a sensitive question in front of everybody else, the boss is not going to respond to you. Make sense? If you highlight my mistake in front of all my colleagues, most probably I will fight them. So the context is very important. That's why we say this. Praise in public, scold in private. But most probably Malaysian way, we do it the reverse way, the terbalik way. Right? Right? Scold in public, but never do any praise in private. But why people scold people in public? That's actually to satisfy their ego. Notice that? So, the very important ground rules for leaders, you must let go your egos. Now, when I first started 22 years ago, right, I always reminded myself, no matter where you become in the future, always remember you are the same Stephen. Means that your blood is still red color, not like Pulau Langkawi Masuri, your blood is white color. Right? So you are the same person, regardless of what you achieved in your life. Now, what is actually ego? Three things that will contribute to a person's ego. Number one is past achievement. Notice that? Past achievement.
Absolutely agree.
Right? When in the past you achieved a lot of achievement, you have a lot of achievement, then it will actually increase your ego. Number two is social standing. your social standing. If your social standing now you become higher and higher and higher and higher, right? That is where your ego becomes higher and higher and higher.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the third one is all the titles accorded to you.
Super.
What is that? Now, go and Google search for this term called servant leadership.
What?
Servant leadership.
Servant leadership.
Now, you see, a normal corporate leadership is this. This is the triangle. This is the pyramid. Servant leadership is the reverse. Right? The normal corporate leadership is where the higher that you go, everybody must so-called respect you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Servant leadership talks about the higher that you go, you should serve the people because these are the people who actually bring you up. So based on this principle, all our YB, all our VIP, no, they are not YB, they are not VIP. We are the VIPs. We are the one who elected them to be the member of parliament. Without our votes, they are nobody. So when they come, we should not address them as VIP. We are the VIP. Which is a wrong concept, right? Normally in an event itself, you will notice that 9 o'clock, arrival of guests. 9:15, arrival of VIP. No, wrong. Right? By right, they should not be VIP. Right? We are the one that is VIP. It's based on servant leadership. This is servant leadership. Go and Google search for it. Right? So you have to look into this. Now, this is the overall chart on how do you achieve a shared visions. Without you achieving a shared visions, it is quite impossible for you to lead people. Based on what Daniel said just now, we are in the same ship. Agree? Now what happens when we are in the same ship or in the same boat? If we are in the same boat but we are moving in a different directions, you just hope that you are not in the same boat. True? You are in the same boat and make sure that you are moving in the same directions. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. Right? So this is going to be the things. Now, we are going to move into this. Remember, I mentioned to you that we need to build trust. Right? Now, in these summarized slides, we have actually prepared for you 3 main components on how do you build trust. And each component will provide for you 5 actions. Actions. Actions means that you take and do it. It's not theory, it's actions. Right? So 5 actions to support one particular component itself. There are 3 components that you need to fulfill in order to build trust with a person. Now look at it. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
If it's the environment is a corporate leadership,
Okay.
is there a way to change to the servant leadership?
Alright, that is very good questions. If currently you are practicing corporate leadership, is there a way for you to change into a servant leadership? Yes? Is that the question?
Yes.
Alright. Okay. First and foremost, the person must acknowledge the existence of servant leadership. Second, the person must actually start from somewhere. So which means that you will start from all of you first. Right? So you will start from all of you first. Then as you go along, remember yesterday we talked about inspiring people. Right? Then you need to inspire every level to be in servant leadership. Now, normally servant leadership is being championed in NGOs. NGO? And normally, those leaders in NGO, when you serve for many years, then the country will give you doctorship. What is that? Right? Example, let's say you serve in a Majelis or Majelis AIDS Negara or whatever things, right? Okay, Cancer Society of Malaysia. That's an NGO itself, right? After you serve for many years, then you will be recognized by having that honorific title, Dato. Because when you enter NGO don't pay you much, agree? Right? So you enter NGO, your purpose is to contribute to the betterment of the society. That is servant leadership. Okay? Right? But to switch, back to your questions, to switch fully from servant leadership into for servant leadership to take over corporate leadership itself, to a certain extent, it may not happen. But it's good if we have some mixtures. Because why? Because in corporate, the main driver is profitability. True? The main driver is profitability, and company need to survive. Company need to survive to make profit, to pay their employees. Make sense? Right? So you cannot only keep on thinking of contribute. But it's good if you have a balance. Does that answer your questions? To a certain extent?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So it's good to know this concept called servant leadership, right? Servant leadership. Now, of course, nothing can be practiced 100%. Make sense? You cannot achieve 100% because there's nobody is perfect in this world. Nothing is perfect in this world itself, right? Okay. Now back to our trust. Now we have three components to achieve. Number one is positive relationship. The opposite of positive relationship means what? Negative relationship. Make sense? So if you don't have a positive relationship, you are going to have a negative relationship. Number two is your judgment / expertise. That is your KSA. Right? Number three is your character of consistent and reliable. That is your QC. Now when you buy a product, you want the product to have certain quality and also high reliability. Agree? You do not want to buy a car, today can start, tomorrow cannot start one. You drive halfway and you stop, you cannot start the car again. The car won't stop again. You do not want to have that kind of car. Agree? Right? So that is called a reliability issue. Now, every component we provide for you 5 actions that you can take. Now let's look into the actions. Under positive relationship, what you can do, number one, always keep in touch with your staff. Don't touch, don't physical touch.
Oh.
Right? Always keep in touch with your staff. Right? Don't connect with them only when you need them. True? What happened when your long lost friend, the one that never connected with you for many years, suddenly call you up? Hello Daniel, how are you? How are you? Wow, long time never see ya. What comes to your mind?
Insurance.
Insurance.
MLM.
MLM, insurance. Notice that? So you will feel something. You will feel something. So we always say this, out of sight is out of mind. Right? So you have to do this. And now with all the technology, it is not difficult to do. Last time really. Last time we have to write letter one. Write letter when you go to post box and post. Then never arrive. 20 years later only arrive the letter. Right? Now the second item, which is very, very relevant, is result versus concern. This is exactly what we mentioned to Sean this morning. Remember objective and your bottom line results. Along the way, do you actually have concern for your people? Or do you only press? I want result, I want result. Don't tell me any other excuses. The only excuse I accept is that you are dead. Right? So, in that perspective, you are only a result based. But are you concerned about people? Bear in mind, as a leader, we must understand that all of us have a different learning speed. All of us have a different learning abilities. Agree? Right? So we must accommodate accordingly. Now the third action that you can do is promote cooperations. You want everybody to cooperate. You do not want everybody to have their own agenda. Do you notice that in this training itself, we actually shift you? Right? We actually, like today itself, we have a new leader. We actually rotate you. And yesterday, notice that we actually shift you so that you will mix with everybody. Even though you have been mixing with everybody, we still want you to mix with everybody. Right? Now, yes, very, very important. Which we are going to focus on that. Resolve conflict. What happens when you have conflicting situations and you never resolve? It is cancerous. And you know cancer can spread, right? Right? You all know what is cancer stage 1, cancer stage 2, cancer stage 3, cancer stage 4. Stage 4 after that means what? No more stage 5, huh? Means that you go to heaven. Right? Okay? And look at this. Give honest feedback. But when you give honest feedback, make sure that you do it in a proper context. Right? Do it in a proper context. First and foremost, don't do it in public. Right? These are the 5 actions. If you do it, you are going to increase the positive image. If you don't do it, then most probably your relationship with the staff can be neutral or negative. Now what happens when you have a negative relationship with the staff? They will not tell you everything. They will try to hide things, right? Or they will only tell you things on need to know basis. You don't ask, I don't tell you lah. Alright? Okay, so this is first component. Now let's move into the second component, judgment or expertise. Now what can you do? Number 1, high decisiveness. Remember yesterday we mentioned this? Human beings make decisions. So high decisiveness. When people come to you for directions, you need to provide directions for people. Make sense? Number 2, value added ideas. Now as a leader, you must give value added ideas. Now, can you give value added ideas if your KSA is low? You cannot. So it will still bounce back, it will still link back to your KSA. Agree? Right? If people ask you things, I don't know. People ask you how to do. You try first out. Then people say to you, actually I'm not satisfied with my salary. Actually, I also not satisfied with my salary. Right? What to do? Then if a staff actually resign, then you will. Give you the white envelope already. You go there, You go there, don't forget me. You got place, let me know, Right? So you don't do that, right? Okay? So if your KSA is very low, you cannot give value added ideas. Right? Now, when the ideas is not value added, when people ask you for advice, you cannot give valuable advice. It's linked. It's linked. Right? And contributions justified. If you cannot do value added ideas, if you cannot give credible advice, if you don't make decisions, then people start to question. You are my leader. Sure. I know lah, you are my manager lah. So what? But are you my leader? people start to have the kind of imbalance, the kind of doubts in their mind. Sure, you are my leader, the kind of leader, and then they start to spread news, right? Then they will create a WhatsApp group, They will create a WhatsApp group. Then the leader say, I want to join. Then the leader put inside already. Then another fellow will create another WhatsApp group, put everybody in except the leader. Right? Then they communicate. Then they send to the wrong group. Now okay lah, you can delete . So you want to create a suspense in a group, is it? You quickly type something already, then you delete. Everybody say, oi, what deleted message or something, right? Right? And judgment and expertise, you need to have a prompt response. Very prompt response. Right? Now, the third element, the third factors, consistent and reliable. Look at this. Number one, you need to stand out as a role model. We talked about this before. You need to stand out as a role model. If you want people to be early, you need to be early. If you want people to behave, you need to behave. If you want people to learn, you need to learn. If you want people to change, you must change first. But still remember this, nobody is perfect in this world. Everybody will come with strength and weaknesses. Right? We talk about this. Walk the talk. Action is more important than words. Keep promises. If you promise something, keep promises. And this morning we talk about this. I can promise you effort, but I cannot promise you results. True? Right? In a project, I can promise you that we will give our best effort, but I cannot promise you the result. That we are going to be whatever. But you know that we are going to give our best effort in order to make sure that the project is on the right track itself. And now, this word, look at this word. A lot of us follow up, but we never follow through. There's a big difference between follow up and follow through. Make sense? You follow up, you call the person, but is that matter closed? You follow through until the matter resolved. To me, anything that starts must come to an end. I'll share with you this. I've been in the market for the past 22 years. My longest follow up and follow through sales is 16 years. 16 years we have been following up with this company, and the company never gave us any sales. And the company is called Kitlong Tire. You know Tire? Right, Tire. Right? Since 2006, we have been following up with them. Never give us any business. And recently, we invited them for a free review and everything. They came in and asked me, the HR, group HR manager asked me, we don't know whether you're good or not good, or Steven. Then I also respond to them. 22 years in the market, sure I'm good lah. I said, okay, we come. Then we did trainings for them. Right? 22 years. Another second record was actually 8 years. 8 years was a company in Kamunting itself. It's actually a subsidiary under KL Kepong. KL Kepong Berhad. Subsidiary is I think chemical manufacturing. It's called Malaysia. Right? Malaysia in Kamunting. 8 years. Every year will ask us for brochures, customizations, then quiet. Ask us, then quiet. Ask us, then quiet. Right? Okay. So you have to follow through. You must believe that people is going to respond to you. It's just that when is cannot be determined. So my greatest record is 16 years. Keep low, which is actually tiring. And they are the sole distributor for Pirelli tire. Last time they used to be a sole distributor for Michelin tire. So it just happened that I'm using a Pirelli tire. So now I can buy it at discounted rate. Oh, nice. Right? This is the perks that come together. Okay? Right? And always walk the extra miles for people. Right? You need to walk the extra miles for your staff itself. Okay? So now we are going to move into one particular activity. Alright? Are we good? Right? And see whether are you able to create a shared visions? Are you able to create a trust among your team members, and other 3 team members will actually evaluate you, huh? Right? Okay, now this is going to be the activity. See the island there? Yes? Now you are on aeroplane. Still remember your aeroplane yesterday? By the way, yesterday you have answered already the 5 situations. Are you sure? Number 1?
Oh, I already have answered.
Oh, you have answer, right? Number 1, you and a stranger, you will take from a stranger.
Definitely.
Yeah. Number 2, you and a best friend
Also take.
also take. Number 3, you and your boss
Take also take.
also take.
Yes.
Recorded all.
It's okay. I will delete it later.
Right. Number 4, you and your spouse
Also take.
also take. Married or not married? Tonight susah ni lah. Right? And number 5, you and your kids. This still got a bit right? So now you are on an aeroplane, right? As a group itself, you're on aeroplane. Now your aeroplane crash. Right? So you are on the sea now, right? So in front of you there is a small island, right? There's a small island that is inhabited, and this island is surrounded by sharks. Okay? You and your team member are now stranded on the island itself, right? And you need to survive for the next 7 days, because only once a week the vessel will pass through to rescue you. So you need to survive for the next 7 days. Alright? So each group will be given 3 items. Right? For you to select 3 items, and then you will need to work on these 3 items. How are you going to survive for 7 days using these 3 items? Okay? So group leaders, can you please take your paper, right? Okay, so we will go around and we will let you choose item 1. All the groups choose item 1, then only we'll go for second group, the second round, and then only we'll go for third round. Okay? Right? So the item can only be chosen by one group. Once it's chosen, then you cannot choose that item anymore. So which group would like to start first? Will it be still durian?
Always do it.
Always durian. Okay, now this is going to be the item, huh? Okay, when you choose the item, I will give you the descriptions. When you choose the item, I will give you the descriptions. Alright? Okay, durian.
Yes.
Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Okay, Swiss Army knife taken. Champion. Fishing rod. Fishing rod taken. Fishing rod come without string. No string. Only the rod only.
Okay, then choose again.
Cannot edit.
Say earlier, ma.
Cannot, you choose, then I give you the instruction. I give you descriptions. Taken. Right, okay. Phoenix. X. Alright, X. Okay, X taken. Happy. Knife. This is kitchen knife, huh? Okay. Huh? As long as one. Okay. Second item. Lighter is
Taken already.
cannot already.
Not already.
Alright, taken. Lighter taken. Right.
Matches.
Alright, the rope, okay, rope taken. Rope is 10 meter long. We take what?
How many burger?
Matches. Oh, you take matches. Okay, it's full box of matches. Okay, right? Phoenix.
But the down one is what?
iPad.
Water.
This one ah?
The mask. Right hand side.
This one ah? This one is water.
Drinking water or what water?
Fresh water.
1 gallon. How many gallon?
1 liter.
1 liter.
Taken.
How many persons present?
Yeah? Okay, pot will come with the cover.
With cover.
Yeah, with cover. Rope 10 meter long.
Yes, sir. Toilet paper, pampers.
The phone ah, iPhone 14 no.
Hey, you need selfie here, yo.
For them to record themselves the last phone. Phone ah?
Why not the 10? Huh?
Come on, faster. If not, the group will decide for you.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, Menon.
Mask.
Take a bed. Okay, the bed is a full set of bed with mattress, 2 pillow. It's a full set of bed. No bolster. No bolster. Okay. Phoenix.
Is the camping thingy tent?
The tent. Okay, the tent. Right, the tent can fit 2 person. Sit comfortably inside.
Sit only.
Sit. A last item.
What is the item that is still available?
Diapers.
Mask.
Diapers.
iPad.
The
Burger.
letter you can do Morse code.
Come on, faster. The battery, right? Okay, is a D size battery. 1. Okay, right? So, okay, each group will now need to build and use the 3 items to survive on the island for 7 days, right? You need to write down your strategic plan, and then you need to come to the front and present it to everybody. And it's open for everybody to question you. If they find there's no logic, they fail you. Okay, right? So, for group leaders, can you go to the back and take the flip chart paper, right? So that you can actually start the journey, right? Okay, you have 15 minutes to come up with the plan itself. 15 minutes for you to come up with the plan.